So, Kathy, tell me, Newth Morris is going to receive the Robert Gair Award.
That's right, an excellent choice.
Well, what do you know? Is he old enough?
Yes, he's old enough.
Oh, good evening. My name is Robert Gair, and I am honored that you named your Lifetime Achievement Award after me. I am proud to introduce your 2012 Gair Award honoree, A. Newth Morris III. Wait, Johnny lad. It's not your turn yet. Ladies and gentlemen, here is my old friend Newth.
Newth's a member of a great, big, wonderful family that's been very much a part of the folding carton business, well, for 75 years that I know about. Newth was just a boy when I first met him, Arthur Morris's grandson. Arthur Morris was Arthur Newth Morris, so Newth is Mr. Morris's namesake. Mr. Morris was the founder of Rock 10 Company. He founded Rock City Box Company in about 1936. It became Rock City Box Company during World War II when he bought a plant by that name in Nashville, Tennessee. It became Rock 10 Company in 1973 when Rock City Box acquired Tennessee Paper Mills. So Newth was our founder's grandson, a nice kid, a straight arrow, and we all knew him.
The grandfather was always known as the old country box maker, and they specialized in what we referred to as the setup box industry. In addition, Newth Morris Jr. succeeded in opening Dixie Packaging Company. Dixie Packaging Company was a prominent independent. So now we have Arthur Morris Sr., Newth Morris Jr., or Arthur Jr., as he was well known, and then Arthur and Newth III. And each one of them was dedicated to independence in the industry.
He was one of those kids that he went to work for his dad at Dixie, and we sort of stayed in touch because eventually he started coming to the PPC meetings. This was a fine, medium-sized folding carton business that grew and developed because he and his father before him plowed money back into the business to make sure that it was well equipped, that it produced first-class products, and delivered what they said they were going to do. He'd been in this business literally all his life. I think he worked summers in that plant when he was going to school. He's been a part of the industry organization and a constructive force, voice, and there are darn few people that have his depth of understanding and experience in the folding carton business.
I don't know whether I ever told you about my first recollections of Newth. A. Newth Morris III was at PPC meetings in Chicago with his father, Art, of the Dixie Paper Box Company. Well, pretty soon he took over the business, took over the family business from his father, and he changed the name a little, I think, but it was always Dixie something or other.
Well, now it's Dixie Printing and Packaging.
When he took over Dixie Printing and Packaging, it was relatively a smaller company. I think it was like $8 million in business. It was a letterpress based company. He brought in the offset printing. He really focused a lot on die cutting and the make-readies and improving the efficiencies throughout. And I think most recently is about a $20 million company.
Newth was one of the first independents to install a laser in his die-making operation.
One thing about his pre-press is it is state-of-the-art, and he has absolutely developed the most successful hexachrome printing plant that I have ever seen. You go into his plant and probably 90% of everything he does is through hexachrome. If you look at the press sheets on his floor, the first time I was there, I looked and I thought he had at least a 20-color press because all the PMS colors that were on it.
Newth was an early innovator in blanking.
Newth was one of the first, I believe, to install automated pallet handling around his printing presses. That was a great thing to see, but he was an innovator who was willing to try new technologies and see how they worked out.
I would say that there's probably not another folding carton company in North America that can tell you that the President of the United States actually came to their plant.
Right after 9/11, President Bush actually came and toured and spotlighted Dixie Printing and Packaging as a great American manufacturing company. Newth has 3 great children. He has a son that's a CEO of a company. He has his other son is a professional photographer and getting his master's degree in Switzerland. And his daughter is a 3rd grade school teacher. Newth has been involved in multiple organizations, including NAM, but one of the things that I think Newth is most proud of, and because he spoke about it a lot, was his involvement between the Severna Parks and the Baltimore JCs, where they actually took the abandoned rail lines and made that into a public trail for all to enjoy.
Next thing I knew, he was making speeches at PPC meetings.
Newth has always been a passionate supporter and cheerleader for the industry for as many years as any of us have known him. He always said that his greatest joy in life was to come to a PPC meeting and see a room full of box guys. Newth and I have really kind of grown up in the box business together, probably 30 plus years. In fact, our grandfathers probably knew each other back at the infancy and birth of the PPC.
Newth was the first person I met at my first PPC meeting. He was the guy that when you went into the opening session was looking for the newcomers and just went out of his way to find you, make you feel welcome, and introduce you around, help you learn the ropes of the PPC.
Newth has given a lot of time and has brought a lot of energy to the PPC.
He's been in a leadership position here for years and years, and most recently retired as Director Emeritus off of the board. But he's got his stamp all over this association. He's chaired committees. He's been the chairman of the association. He's attended conferences all over the world on behalf of the PPC, including ACMA.
He's like an evangelist for the carton industry.
You should have heard his speech. He was preaching the evils of finished goods inventory.
Newth made a presentation a few years back on the Jurassic Folding Carton Company, and one of the things he talked about was finished goods inventory. And as he says, finished goods inventory is not like wine. It does not get better with age.
Next thing I knew, Newth was chairman of the PPC. He had so much energy, PPC couldn't even keep up with him. And he liked change.
Well, that's Newth. He's a real change agent.
When he took over the direction of the chairmanship of the PPC, he really wanted to increase the membership. He wanted to get more folding carton companies involved to see what the PPC could offer for them. At that time, there were approximately 30 members, and he reduced the dues, which wasn't something that went over really well with a lot of people. But he reduced the dues so we could get more members, and the membership started growing immediately. And we now have over double that as folding carton members.
Newth envisioned and led a PPC that was much more accessible to independent box makers.
He's been through the wars with this association. During the tough times, he was chairman, and his enthusiasms never flagged.
Newth was chairman in an era when reverse auctions were kind of the new thing of the day, and there was really just a focus on reducing cost. And buyers had really lost sight of the value of packaging and what it did for them. And I think Newth helped us as a group to focus on the value of packaging and selling value, not just selling paperboard plus conversion cost. I think the industry is better because of Newth's leadership in the early 2000s.
And in all the time I've known him, I've never seen him promote his own business at the expense of the industry.
Did you ever hear his outgoing phone messages?
Yes.
One of my favorite things to do in the last 30 years was to call Newth Morris at his office when he wasn't there.
If he wasn't able to take the phone at the moment, you'd get a great voicemail. In fact, you almost hoped he didn't answer.
It's a beautiful day to make folding boxes.
It's a beautiful day to make boxes at Dixie Printing and Packaging Company.
It's hot, hot, hot outside, but it's cool here. And went on to talk about their pricing and the machines running, and he just had a fun way of he had fun with his job. He made the industry fun.
He also developed a taste for fine cigars, top shelf whiskey, and fast printing presses.
If it was fast and shiny, Newth wanted it. Technology in cars, I mean.
I can remember touring through Europe with Newth back in the early 2000s, and he dragged a group of us through a bunch of plant tours all through Europe. I remember ending up on Mallorca representing PPC in an ECMA conference over there. And frankly, we had a ball. Some of these jobs were harder than others, and some were more fun than others. But in the case of those trips through Europe, I choose to not be able to remember a number of the details of those trips.
We always try not to schedule Newth any kind of presentations early in the morning, especially after a long night, surrounded by his friends and colleagues solving all the problems of the box industry.
I recall one general session when Newth was supposed to be on at, I think, 8:30 in the morning and didn't show. It was like the end of The Sound of Music, where they introduced the Von Trapp family singers and no one came out. And it turned out Newth had been up very late that night with a couple of our members, no doubt working on some of the burning issues of the industry. And he was so committed to it that he was unable to drag himself out of bed the next morning.
Newth Morris single-handedly led the charge to maintain PPC's long tradition of smoking cigars and drinking cocktails at PPC meetings.
We'd better get on the road if we're going to get to Louisville to congratulate Newth.
Well, I'm ready.
What do you say you hop on the bike and I'll get in the sidecar for the rest of the trip? I'm tired of driving.
He's a credit to his family and to his community and to his industry. A genuine credit to all of them.
I'm delighted to toast Newth III, who in the annals of this industry is #1.
If I had to describe Newth in one word, it would be enthusiastic. He's like an evangelist for the carton industry.
Intelligent and energetic.
Straight out.
Creative.
Spirited.
Passion.
The one word that I would use to describe Newth Morris is energetic. He's always running on 8 cylinders or plugged into 440 volts. I'm not sure which one.